Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this guy is a ginormous sock monkey. I'll tell you how ginormous in a minute. 25 inches long. Let's say arm to arm, about 9 inches, about 9 inches wide. That's arm to arm. He is ginormous. But what's the point of having a sock monkey if he isn't a big guy? Let's jump right into this. So this sock monkey was a charcoal gray that I did him in. There are some work socks that are charcoal gray, but then I found this gray, which is a lot lighter, and it's a tweed actually. So this is what it looks like. I know it might be hard to see because of my lights, but it is from Craft Smart Value, the Tweed Collection. It's probably upside down. The Tweed Collection, and it's just gray. It's just a gray tweed. So Craft Smart Value, that's where that's from. So that's where you can find, and that's pretty close to a work sock. And you're going to have these little specks here and there throughout the sock monkey. The red I used is also a Craft Smart because I really like that brand. It's very soft and great to work with. This red's called Tomato. And then the white is just another Craft Smart, and it's just the color white. So all these yarns are for weight. None of them are worsted. We're going to be starting with the white. So, oh sorry, this is Bernat. I lied. This is Bernat. I usually use Bernat or I use Craft Smart. Very rarely do I use Red Heart. It's too hard. I find it. This stuff is so soft, and this Bernat is from, it's just white, but it's called, it's from the Cozy Style collection. So we're going to start with white. I've got all my stuff built. This is going to probably be a 1 and a 2-parter. We have to build our arms and legs. So I've got 3 of mine done to make the video a lot shorter. We're going to start with white, change to red, and then we're going to finish with our gray. Whatever gray you're using, or if you're using brown, then that's fine. These are all built to be the same size. These 2 arms you can fasten off. 1 leg you can fasten off, but the leg that I'm going to do with you, the second leg you make, you can't fasten off. And I'll tell you why. Everything about this guy is crocheted together. So his arms are crocheted on, his legs are crocheted on, everything is crocheted on, except for the ears are sewn, obviously. And then the muzzle is sewn, and then he's got his button eyes. So I am using a 4.5 because most of my yarns call for a 5mm, but with amigurumi you go down in hook size to do amigurumi, which is the style we're doing, which means you're going to need a stitch marker as well. So let's get started. First we start with white. I just spun all these, so they're going to be nice and tight probably. So we start with white and we make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. I'm going to zoom in so I get a better idea of what I'm doing. He's so big, I'm kind of glad I got this new setup because he is ginormous. He'd be too big to do with my regular setup. So 6 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets. So we're doing this amigurumi, which means no slip stitching, no chaining one. You're going to go right into your next stitch. The next stitch can be tough. You can manipulate it with your hook or with a sewing needle or something. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around. After the first one, you're going to put your stitch marker. If I can manage to pick mine up. And then your second one can go in. So 2 single crochets in each stitch around, or you can just count to 12. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. That's 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets 2 single crochets for the increase. This will bring you up to 18 stitches. You should have 18 stitches, and for the next 11 rows you're going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. So get yourself a stitch count or a row counter. It'll be helpful. So 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches for 11 rows, and I will see you on the other side where we're going to do a color change to red. So if you have to set up for the color change, just know after your 11 rows we're going to red. So that is my 11 rows. I'm gonna get my red ready. I haven't done my last stitch. Oh, my whole side's fallen off. So I haven't done my last stitch. Yet. So my color change, I'm going to take my marker out. I'm not at my marker spot. I'm the stitch before my marker spot. It just always gets in the way. So this is what it should look like, by the way. That's your 11 rows. So I'm not weaving in my color because you will see it through the white, but I am going to bring up a loop. You can make a slip knot if it's easier for you. Put that on the end of your hook and pull it through like you're finishing this stitch. So everything gets pulled down nice and tight. And this is my first stitch. I'm not weaving in any. I'm going to actually tie those two pieces together. So I'm going to put my first stitch in with my marker, which I technically don't need. At this point I can cut my white off. So I want to leave a bit of a tail because I'm going to tie these two together. And that'll be my color change. Just watch how tight you make your double knot. And then that can just get dropped down inside. Now I would suggest cutting this red off short because you still will see it. If you, unless you can manage to get the stuffing around it, you can still see a bit of mine through it. So I would make him short, but keep a little nubby so that the knot doesn't come undone. And that's how I do my color change. So with the red, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So this is going to be the size. We're not increasing, we're not decreasing. This will just be the size. So two rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch with the red, and then we're going to change to the gray. Easy peasy, which is good because we have to make 4 of these. So that's what you should have. You're gonna have a little jog. There's nothing you can really do about it. So I'm gonna get my tweed out, and I'm gonna do the same thing. The stitch before my marker, I'm gonna pull up a loop. I'm gonna add my gray to finish the stitch. So pull down on everything, make it nice and tight. Cut your red off. Tie these two together. In a double knot and jam that all down there. And so this gray, again, we're not increasing, we're not decreasing. With this gray, you're going to do 30 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. And this can be done with all 2 arms and 2 legs. All of them are all built exactly the same. So I'm going to put up, my next screen will be what you're doing now, the 30 rows. The screen after that will be the pattern for you to do your 3 other pieces. And I will put the reminder to not fasten off the last one. And then I will see you right back here. So this is mine done. I'm still connected. I've got all my other ones that I had done previous to the video. So we're gonna set this all aside for now. For part 1, for this one, we're gonna build all the parts, and then in part 2, we're gonna put it all together. So you need to get another ball. All of these have center poles. So I haven't rolled mine yet. So we're going to do all the other parts first. Let's do the ears, since I just got my gray out. The muzzle itself has no gray on it, it's just red and white. So the mouth or whatever. And we can start the tail, because that's pretty long as well. But let's do the short little thing, since you just did 4 big things. We'll do a small little guy. So take your gray, we're still using our 4.5. Make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Somehow I lost a stitch marker. Not sure how. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first stitch goes the stitch marker. So 2 single crochets in each stitch around, or you can just count to 12, or you can do both. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So that's 1 single crochet, and then your increase is 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. This will give you 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So that's number 1 with your marker, always number 1. That's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat for 24 stitches. So for the next 4 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So that's what my 4 looks like. So we're going to start decreasing. We're going to do 2 single crochet decrease. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then I'm going to do my visible decrease, which is done in the front loops only. But you can do any decrease you want. But a decrease, if you're not sure, is just go into the stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. So whether you do it in the full stitch or the front loops only is completely up to you. The invisible stitches are mainly so you don't get great big gaping holes. And I'm putting another decrease on top of this, so I don't want great big holes. So I generally do the invisible when I'm stacking decreases on top of each other, but it's completely up to you. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet decrease, and then we're going to fasten off. So that's your 1 single crochet, that's with your marker. So we jump right into a decrease. So this will bring you down to 12 stitches. We're going to sew this on open, not whip stitched closed or anything, just because it's easier and it's better looking. And these kind of go on the side of his head, not the top of his head. So that's the plan. So go into your next stitch, slip stitch, fasten off. You're going to need a sewing tail. So it's going to be sewn on open and concaved like that. So, and it'll be to the side of his head. Sides like a monkey. So go ahead and make your second ear. I'll put the pattern up and I'll see you on the other side. So now that we've got that done, let's get our mouth done, and then we can get to the tail, which I'll end the video with the tail. And then we're all done for part 1. So the mouth starts with, now I don't know, well, I do know why. This is the mouth. And it looks like this because this is, the sock monkey was made up from a work sock originally. So that's why this looks like this, because this is supposed to be the heel of the sock, in case you're wondering why it looks like that. We're going to start with red. I'm still using the same hook, and the reason I keep saying that is because sometimes I do change hooks. So, make a slip knot, and you're going to chain 9. That's my 9. You're going to do 2 single crochets. Then you're going to do 4 half doubles. You're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. That's half double. You're going to do 3 more of those. So 4 all together. You're going to do 1 single. And in this last stitch, you're going to do 2 singles. The reason why it's going to be written in brackets is because for my channel, that means the same space. So pull your slip knot closed, and you're going to turn it sideways. Right next to your knot, you're going to go into this stitch. Now I'm going to weave in my slip knot tail as I go, but if it's hard and awkward for you, you don't have to do it. So go into the stitch right next to your slip knot and put a single crochet in there. So we're just repeating what we did on the other side. You're going to do 4 half doubles. Try to keep your tension loosey-goosey. Doesn't need to be pulled tight or anything, or it'll start to curl. That's my fourth half double. Then I'm going to do 2 single crochets. And my second one is kind of right here at the end. Oh, I'm stuck on something. There we go. So that's what you should have at this point. Looks funny. This guy's gonna get in my way. I'm just gonna snip him off a little bit because I weaved. So your next round, so we're gonna pop over here to your first stitch. We're gonna put a marker in this first stitch. But you're gonna put 2 single crochets in here. So after the first one, where is my marker? Why do I keep losing my marker? Oh, there it is. After the first stitch, you're gonna put your marker. Then you're gonna put stitch number 2 in that same space. Then you're gonna do 2 half doubles, not in the same space, 1 in each stitch. The next stitch is going to get 2 double crochets in the same space. At this point I'm just shaping the mouth. Your next stitch will get 2 double crochets in the same space. Then you're going to do 2 half doubles, 1 in each stitch. This next stitch is going to get 2 single crochets. The next 2 stitches are going to get 2 single crochets each. So they might be hard to get into. Mine are. I think I pulled too tight. That's 2 single crochets in that stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Again, I'm just trying to keep everything loosey-goosey. you're going to do 2 half doubles. So again, I'm just repeating what I did on the other side. So 1 in each stitch makes 2. Then we're going to do these 2 stitches are going to get 2 double crochets each. Next stitch gets 2 double crochets. And then you're going to do 2 half doubles. I almost read my pattern wrong. So 1 in each stitch. And then this last stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. So that's the shape of your mouth. So we're going to switch to white. So if you want to switch like I do, pull this last stitch out. Well, keep these 2 loops. I'm going to finish my last stitch with white. To make the switch, that's how I like to do it. So with your white, so I'm going to pull down on everything. I'm going to tie these 2 in a knot. So cut off your red if you're doing what I'm doing. Take the straggler from your white and the red you just cut and tie that in a knot. This is what we do in when I use my knitting machine. So I decided to incorporate this into my crochet, and it's working out pretty good for me. So this is your marker spot. You're going to do 1 single crochet increase all the way around. So we've got to make this thing grow a little bit. So that's my 1 single crochet. My next stitch is going to get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And you're going to do this all the way around. This should give you a total of 38 stitches. So this is what you should have at this point. For the next 3 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 38 stitches, or however many stitches you have. And that's going to make it curl. And that will be the end of our mouth project, and we can jump right into the tail. So 3 rows, 38 stitches. I will see you on the other side. So this is my 3 rows, so that's what you should have. It looks better once it's sewn on and stuffed. It's not going to look so funny. So I have 36 stitches, not 38 stitches. So fasten off with the sewing tail. And that's going to be your mouth. So funny business. Let's set that aside. And using our white, we'll get to the tail. The tail is pretty long, obviously. It's longer than the legs and the arms. It's 50 rows long once we get to the gray. So with the white, you're going to do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Now the 50 rows doesn't take long because I didn't build it that big around. So you're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. I'm just going to count to 12, but if you're putting in a stitch marker, it goes in after the first stitch, not the second one. For the next 7 rows, I want you to put, so you have 12 stitches. For the next 7 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 7 stitches. Goes pretty fast. So that's what you should have. That's my 7 rows of the white. I am going to be changing to red, so I'm going to pull part of the stitch out so I can finish it with my red. And remove the stitch marker because it gets in my way every single time. Not that I necessarily need a marker, but I can snip off my white and tie these 2 pieces. So, with the red, you're going to do 2 rows. This is as big as the tail is getting. We're not increasing. So you're going to do 2 rows of the red. So I am on my last stitch. I'm going to do the color change to gray, so I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to add my gray to finish that stitch. So for the next 50 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. But first, let's get rid of this red. So I'm going to add this pattern to my buy me a coffee thing. If you're interested, everything there is $5. I got all kinds of patterns there. I'm going to add the sock monkey to it, I think. So you can either buy me a coffee for $5 or you can buy a pattern for $5. So my Etsy's a little more expensive. So 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches for the next 50 rows. I'm going to leave you with this because at the end of this you're just going to fasten off. Oh, and I lied to you. At the beginning of the video I said everything is crocheted on, the arms, the legs. I lied. The tail is not crocheted on. I sewed the tail on. But it did such a good job, it looks crocheted on. Anyway, that is sewn on. It's sewn on open. So I lied to you. So I'm going to leave you with this for part 1, doing your 50 rows. It's pretty fast. This video has probably been pretty long for you, having to do 2 arms, 2 legs, and everything else. And we can meet back up in part 2, which will be going up tomorrow, where we're going to start crocheting, sewing, I almost said sewing, crocheting the monkey together. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'll put up my pause screen and I will see you in the next video.